Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law Splaining the Interwebs. I am your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is my good friend and guest, Zidan. And we may be joined by a couple other people today. We're going to be discussing the Killstream. The killed stream, what I don't know what exactly to call it at this point, but we're going to be discussing what has happened to the kill stream. We're going to talk about censorship. We're going to talk about the legal ramifications that are out there for these internet companies. We're going to talk about, I don't know, whatever we get around to, right? How we combat this, what the alternatives are, what everything means for the future of speech. So if you are not familiar with my channel, if you do not watch my shows, usually know firsthand that I'm a huge proponent of free speech, the freest speech. I don't believe hate speech is a thing. And I think that everybody should be able to say literally whatever they want. And that's pretty much the end of it. So, there's plenty of things that people will say that I'll disagree with, but that doesn't ever mean that I want them to not say them. I would actually prefer people to say things that I do disagree with. A couple things. As a result of all of this, YouTube, of course, has taken away the ability of Ethan Ralph and some others to stream. They have taken away their ability to receive YouTube super chat income. And I am working on moving away from YouTube's super chat platform. So if you check down in the description, there is a link to my Streamlabs. And if you want to issue some sort of Streamlabs chat, you can do that with the donation. That way, YouTube doesn't get any of the money, thank God, and we need to bleed them of whatever, even small amounts we can do because they clearly don't want it, right? They don't want your money. They don't want my money. They don't want your donations. They don't want any of that. So let's not give it to them. So if you do drop a Justice Chat, which is the corniest, stupid name I could come up with, it'll pop up in the upper right corner of the screen there, and then I will, of course, read them, barring any specific language that would get me thrown off, because I'm not prepared personally to be thrown off of any platforms yet, although I imagine it's coming at some point. Because if you have an opinion that is at all unpopular, it has to go. It has to go. With that, there was a super chat before the show started, and it was from, let's see, Major White Boy. It says, "Hail Ethan Ralph, hail Killstream, Davis Vault." And then there was a Justice Chat or whatever, another chat that came in that said, this is from War Dog Leader, said, "You can't abort the retort. We will never fall. We will never be silenced. Killstream fans unite. Sweetie Squad assemble." So, that's where we are right now. Zidan is with us, but he is, I believe, otherwise engaged at the time. Are you there, buddy?
I was waiting for you to finish. That was a fantastic intro.
Oh, sorry. You can't wait for me to finish because I will talk like for a day straight.
That's not a bad quality. Let me just tell you one thing. You've got top chat on. Make that live chat, bro.
So I don't know how to do it in Streamlabs.
Oh
I'm
no!
let me see if I can do it in real time here. But
I think it's got it from your chat on your YouTube page, correct? Like your creator page. So just switch that to live chat, and it should switch it automatically.
I don't know. Well, let me try it. I know on the other Streamlabs, it would just do it. Or it would have the interact switch, and I could change it. But on
if not, I guess we can figure it out later. But for next time,
let's get that
live shut up, buddy.
It's the only thing. I switched to Streamlabs OBS last night, so I'm still like trying to figure out all this garbage. But I believe me. If anybody knows, you can make fun of me.
They're already calling you a boomer. It's okay.
Yeah. That's how life goes these days.
Nikki Rackets, what's up, man?
Hey, buddy. Welcome to the show. Please welcome Ethan, Ralph to the show. Thank you guys, by the way, so much for.
You're very welcome. You're taking a big risk hosting us here tonight. We're being unpersoned at a rapid pace here on the internet, man.
I don't even know who you are. You're not allowed to exist. So this is Rethan Alf. I mean, what's up with it? Like, what do we do? What do we do about this?
Well, you know what? I don't know. I figured, so I guess there's a couple things. Earlier today, I got some messages. Of course, everybody, I'm figuring most people know about the Wall Street Journal stuff, and they deleted all my channels on YouTube.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit about that.
Sure, we can go through it. But actually, I got a message today. Somebody's just like, well, your Streamlabs is not working. I said, oh, well, that's interesting. So I went through, looked at it. I thought it was because the YouTube account got terminated. But actually, they kicked me off Streamlabs as well after I inquired.
They kicked you off Streamlabs?
They kicked me off Streamlabs.
Oh
I don't know if, I'm expecting probably other services to follow. We used DLive last night. The cool thing about DLive is they have something called what is it, Lino coin?
Yeah,
Lino?
ice cream cones.
Yeah, the ice cream cones. Well, that's actual money. And when they give that to you, you can either get paid out through PayPal, which I foolishly did this morning. We'll see how long my PayPal account lasts.
Yep, that's on the chopping block.
And the thieves at PayPal, they'll just keep your money, which I'm expecting YouTube to do too, but that's another story. Anyway, but you can also get paid out through Bitcoin with these Lino coins.
Oh, nice.
And they can't stop that. So DLive, Stream.me reached out as well, but DLive's looking even more attractive. After Streamlabs kicked me off, so we'll see what happens.
DLive actually dropped I believe it was DLive, or it was a fierce advocate of theirs, dropped a link on one of my streams last night and said to come check out DLive for my show as well. So it looks like they're trying to expand. I mean, if they're courting me, which I don't have the biggest channel, but if they're looking to expand and willing to drop money to get me to look at it, I'm certainly going to as well. We've got to come up. There's got to be an alternative marketplace, because if you've got these people who can just miraculously unperson you from several different services with no collusion or discussion going on, absolutely above board, all just a coincidence that it all seems to happen to everybody within like a 24-hour period. Just everybody cuts you off, right? Like if we...
Yeah, and I expect it's probably going to keep... Look, the Patreon's still up. PayPal hasn't kicked me off yet. But you know how these things go, and I'm fully expecting that to happen. Look, I didn't expect it to be easy, especially, once YouTube deleted me, they kind of, put Alex Jones on me. Oh, wait, hold on, Nora.
Oh, Nora, your mic.
Yeah, you'll have to mute yourself, but actually, I muted her. But I've done that before, too. But...
Well, that's the kind of misogynistic hate speech that's not tolerated around here.
But so look, nobody said it was going to be easy. The type of show we do, I mean, I look at it as pretty much a comedy show, to be honest with you. We do talk about news and stuff, but it's not really serious. People are getting really triggered about, I guess, just some of the comments, some of the jokes. I don't feel like our show is a malevolent program. I think it's just kind of a shit posting, funny, laugh along stream.
I've always said it was like old school Howard Stern.
Yeah, but they're trying to wipe us out of existence. It's literally a fight for survival at this point. And I mean, I'm not gonna go quietly into that good night. So we'll see what happens with the payment processors. But yes, Streamlabs did ban me this afternoon. So
that's ridiculous. I saw the Killstream unlovingly described, but I think accurately and I took it in an entirely good way, although I think the speaker was saying it the opposite. Described as like a soap opera, a late night soap opera for internet drama and men, or something like that. And it's like, yeah, okay. What's What's wrong with the idea of some people getting together, making jokes, having fun, and just being entertained? I thought that's what all of this was about. Like, when did all these companies start taking themselves so seriously? Like, YouTube has to be something other. Like, are we pretending that YouTube isn't built on the back of watching cats fall off of desks and stuff like that? I mean, it's always been about entertainment. But when you have an entertainment that makes some particular group, some very specific group, I guess mildly uncomfortable, it's got to go. And that's I thought, again, that's why we were moving to the internet, was that we didn't have to have these companies make editorial decisions and have to put their reputations on the line, because literally anybody can just upload whatever they want. And if it's not illegal, it doesn't reflect on YouTube. It really doesn't. It doesn't reflect on any of these companies, because they're just the medium that we happen to be using at the time. And they can take our money from it. Like, that's what we're paying them for out of our profits. But like, I don't care about YouTube as a brand. And I don't think anybody who's on it does either. It's just a convenient place to watch something that you find funny.
Yeah. And look, I think we have enough of an audience that I'll be able to weather this, but they're clearly trying to just completely shut us down. And we're not the first, of course. We won't be the last. I mean, they did this to England, for example, and not many people spoke out on that. They went down the line. There's been others kicked off Patreon or blacklisted from PayPal, or Stripe fucks them over. Streamlabs has happened to a couple people, although they're fairly lenient. So I was a little bit surprised, but I see how the ball is bouncing. But they did to England. They did to others. They did to Alex Jones. They're doing it to us, trying to do it to us. And I mean, they're just going to keep going right down the line. So
so I have a question for you. I heard a rumor that not only was the Killstream refunded, or the heel stream was refunded, but it looks like they refunded a significant. Did they also refund a significant amount of Killstream donations that were unrelated to the heel stream?
To my knowledge, they have not.
Okay.
I don't know if they're going to do that or not. There was a substantial sum that they owed to me, basically,
right,
to be paid this month. Now, they don't pay until
the 21st, right?
Yeah, 20th, 21st. So I don't know if they're going to do that. Now, if they don't give it to me, the creator, like they were supposed to, then they should definitely refund people's money. I mean, if that's what they want to do, I'm fine with them refunding people's money. I just don't want YouTube to fucking steal the money. That's basically my thing.
I think they'd run. I think some of the changes they're working towards are legally dubious, we'll call them, in the first place. But if they're going to not pay you for monies paid already by people and not refund them, I think they're going to be really treading on some thin water. But at the same time, like, what legally, what do we even do? I mean, I talk about this a lot lately. Seems like more and more, of course, with Gab getting deplatformed. I just did a stream about this stuff. But our Congress basically gave them blanket immunity from any individual tort action we might take. And that's under Sections 230 of the Communications Decency Act, which, again, I'll briefly say was written in 1996, before the internet knew what the internet would become, or had any even idea about it. But we've given them immunity from all of this stuff. It's like, well, you can't sue them because they did it all, quote unquote, in good faith to remove, quote, otherwise offensive content, which is the most broad and impossible definition to abide by. It literally means they can just do whatever they want. And oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. We joke about build your own internet, and it's not. I mean, in certain ways, it's not feasible, but in some ways, that is what is going to have to happen, or at least use existing infrastructures as you can. But you're going to have to build up other platforms. You're going to have to find alternative ways to get paid, such as the we mentioned the Lino coin. That goes through Bitcoin eventually if you want to get paid out like that. Now they won't be able to stop that. As of now, at least.
Yeah, right now.
They haven't stopped people from having. They might. Who knows when they're going to outlaw people having bank accounts and shit like that? I guess there's laws stopping them from doing stuff like that. But
I'm not so sure. Honestly,
really?
I'm really not sure about that. I mean, banks can reject people I worked I worked at a small bank for 3 years. I worked at Wells Fargo for a year before moving into the other side of the financial industry, into investments. And this is all prior to my lawyer life. But, Wells Fargo has all sorts of checks that they can do on people to see if they should have an account or not. And if they run and find that the person bounced a check or floated a check at some point, they can certainly deny them service. That's the real problem. That's the whole build your own internet joke is, well, you right now, we had Streamlabs, but Streamlabs will throw you off. PayPal has been known to throw people off. Stripe has thrown people off. Eventually, and this is probably why, if you talk to investors, like go ask a professional investor on their time with their company about Bitcoin, or I shouldn't say a financial advisor. Go ask them if you should invest in Bitcoin. I bet you they'll tell you no. And the reason they'll do that is because their clearinghouses have advised them to say no to things like Bitcoin, to say no to things like cannabis stocks and stuff like that. They're considered speculative and risky, but really they're dangerous because these companies can't influence them, right? The Bitcoin has to be influenced in a surreptitious manner. They have to take away the means for Bitcoin to flourish in the market, but they can't directly manipulate it. Like you said, this Lino coin thing, they can't shut down yet. But what they can do is basically what South Korea did and what Goldman Sachs did to Bitcoin. What was that, like really early this year, or was it last year?
Regulations, correct?
Yeah, they basically, South Korea said Bitcoin won't be tradable on a South Korean trading desk, and Goldman Sachs closed their Bitcoin trading desk, and that was right when Bitcoin was up at like 20 grand and dropped to 6 grand like the next day. That's the type of influence they have, and you can certainly bet they'll be working towards it, because as long as they control the banks, they control everything. That's what it ultimately comes down to, because if you don't have a bank, how do you pay your lawyer? Like, really, how do you pay for anything? How do you get a cab?
You survive.
Right. And this, I've been saying this for a while. I think this is coming. They're going to have technology soon enough. Jim talked about on Twitter the other day that social media accounts are going to have some sort of, closed back channel verification where you have to verify exactly who you are before you can get a verified or authorized account to post anything. And maybe you can remain anonymous to everybody except that company. Well, once they do that, a bank can just refuse to do business with Twitter, for example, and then a bank can refuse to do business with your grocery store until you install the app on your phone. And when you go to check out at the grocery store, you have to scan your phone across a thing, and it'll make sure you don't have any wrong speak. Like, if you don't think this stuff is coming, just look at what's happening with jokes on YouTube. But eventually, it will come to the point where jokes on the internet or wrong speech, if we just keep going with this private company garbage, they will private company us right out of the ability to say what's on our mind. It's coming.
It's affecting your ability to live life. I know some people might think it doesn't affect them, but wait until there's already copious databases on people. These companies have so much information about your life, your internet search history, what you typed on Facebook 8 years ago. It's something that's a real problem with society, and
what?
Not just morally bankrupt, but fucking stupid, and just unable to get anything done that I don't really have a lot of confidence in.
Well, they already do it in Europe. So Generation Identity got banned, and their bank accounts got closed down in numerous different banks. I know Brittany Pettibone's fiance, his personal bank account has been closed down many times. He's on his 10th bank now.
Jesus.
Mm.
I mean, again, and I hate hammering home on this, but we've got to. Soon they're going to take away our ability to actually advocate against this stuff. Like, that's where this goes. That's where it goes. And when you can't advocate against it, what do you do? And that's why I did a video recently on Marsh versus Alabama, which I think is a path to returning the Supreme Court to the idea that speech takes precedence over private property in some instances, especially when that private property has taken the place of the public square. And if anything, the public square, as evidenced by the most prolific Twitter president in the history of anything.
Did you see the sanctions are coming tweet? Did you see that?
No. What?
Oh my God, you have to see that. I know that that's completely off topic, but anyway, just finish.
It's
I'll
so
put it
good.
in you have to see this. Somebody made a remix of it with me on it with an ice cream cone on there.
Yeah,
because of the DLive thing. Hold on, I'll post this in the side chat. I know
amazing.
it's completely off topic. I hate to divert
No.
it cracked me up so much.
That's fine.
There goes the original Trump one, and I'll post the one that they made. I saw this morning. I think Zidane and Gator saw it first, actually.
Yeah, I sent it to you, I think.
Here, let me bring it over here. So wait a minute. I'm such a boomer. Am I doing this right? You guys have no idea how bad I am at this. Oh no, it is on screen, I think, at this point. But yeah, the sanctions are coming. I could just screen share this, couldn't I?
Yeah, that's how you want to do it. Yeah.
Jeez. Here we go. There it is. There it is. Sanctions are coming.
Look how it's so fucking good.
It's and I think, you know what's really dumb about all this? I think this really boils down to how threatened people are that someone was memed into the White House. Like,
no, you're right. A lot of this, I think, a lot of the deplatforming, a lot of the people getting people kicked off the internet is because of that reason. Trump was very, very popular online, right? We saw it everywhere. The Twitter, even fucking Reddit, and I hate Reddit.
Oh, Reddit's the worst platform there is.
I hate fucking Reddit, but he was popular on there too. That's the thing, is these people are scared of it happening again, and they want to get rid of everyone on the right or anyone right leaning so it never happens again, so they can handpick their presidents again.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing I keep getting to, and maybe this is what it's going to take, but at some point these companies are going to be so bold that they'll say, we're going to ban a politician from Twitter during campaign season. And if it's not an incumbent, it's not going to matter. Like, we need to sneak someone in. We need to sneak like the most racist, anti-Semitic candidate into office in like Alaska or something. But then they have to be an incumbent, and they have to come out with a bunch of spicy tweets and get thrown off of Twitter in the middle of campaign season. Because otherwise we're not going to get Congress to step up to the plate here. And that, I think, is where it really needs to happen. I think it could happen in the courts, but I think Congress is the only way. And we've got to remove this blanket immunity that they have, or we've got to develop an Internet Bill of Rights. Now, I hate the idea of putting government in charge of regulating companies more than they already do. But we've got to take one of these two options. We've got to say, either we set up an Internet Bill of Rights and these people can't violate it, or you have some sort of redress, or we just remove their immunity from lawsuits in the first place. But otherwise, we're never going to escape it. And
safe harbor laws, correct?
Yeah.
That's what we need to get.
Yeah, safe harbor applies in two places. One, there's the specific, when you say a safe harbor law in regards to online platforms, that typically refers to copyright protection. So YouTube can't be held liable if I just flat out upload, a pirated copy of The Raid Redemption. YouTube is protected from that, whereas as a publisher, they would not be protected from that. The other safe harbor is at Section 230 CDA, which is protection from, really to allow them to remove. It was originally intended to remove child pornography and extreme violence and murder from the internet or from their particular website, but it's been expanded well beyond that. So yeah, let me read through a couple of these chats real quick that have been coming in on the on Streamlabs, And because I'm not banned from Streamlabs yet.
Yet.
Yeah, keyword.
No, I honestly like seeing you guys kicked off. I mean, my channel is pretty tame compared to some of the stuff that happened on your channel, and that's mostly not because I censor it, but I don't use any profanity on stream or anything like that, and other people are welcome to. But you know, it's just a little bit of a different environment. However, I'm under no illusion that there are people out there who might not like my channel who could come in, drop a couple of $2 super chats, and say something about aborting certain ethnic babies, and suddenly my channel could get nuked, and like this has become a source of a very, very wonderful source of income for me. So there's trepidation in all of this whenever this happens. And it's just silly because, you know, it's someone else coming into your area and sending a message that you have no control over. Like, you could go moderate it later, I guess. But, you know, what did I do to cause this? What did you guys do to cause that? And I found it very interesting that they that the one tweet that came out in the news article was it was abort Hebrew babies, or not the tweet, the super chat that came through right before you got shut down, right? Was abort Hebrew babies. But you know, Planned Parenthood's YouTube channel is still up, and they've been aborting all kinds of babies, specifically black ones.
Not just Hebrews.
Right. They don't. Well, maybe they have a Hebrew branch that they specialize in. I'm not sure. But you know, Planned Parenthood was founded on the idea of aborting black babies specifically, and they still are disproportionately located in predominantly black neighborhoods. But you know, they're not getting nuked. Planned Parenthood, you can't even try to defund them. But let me read through a couple of these. Sorry. Okay. Cult of Krill says, how touched in the head do you have to be to take $26,000 from Children's Cancer Hospital and think that you did something good? Very touched. Very touched. In both heads. Keck7Go says, Rock, freedom of speech does not mean freedom from consequences. Are you in the right mood after that? Jean-Luc says, F-U-F J-Ugle. I'm returning my Pixel 3 XL for a OnePlus 6T. Mithrin Emrys says, welcome to YouTube Oceania, comrade. Please ensure that all speech adheres to double plus goodly think. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Controlled speech is free speech. And remember, Big Brother Media is watching you. As I like to say, approved speech is always approved by the party. Speech approved by the party is always approved. Keck7Go says the sacks under your eyes look like you could hide pennies into them. Well, that's what a lot of streaming will do to you. Opus Day says Justice Chat 1488 deadbody.gif. Polly the Polar Bear says, I can't believe they banned Ralph from Streamlabs. I've never been more pissed off in my life. I can't give someone money. Legally speaking.
No, you can wait. You can still you can buy Lino coins when we go on DLive. That's and we're working on other stuff. We'll see what happens with it. But
yeah.
Actually, I didn't think I was banned at first, so there was some issue, and I talked to somebody, and they didn't think I was banned. So I tweeted out, I was like, "No, I'm not banned." And then I ended up talking to them, and actually, I was banned after they found out some other stuff. And I responded to them. What did I say exactly? Let me pull this up. Yeah. I said, "Yeah, that's pretty fucking gay, LOL." But thanks for getting back with me quickly. That was the response I sent to the poor rep there.
Very, very eloquently worded. I love it.
Yes.
I love it.
Oh, sorry. I forgot I wasn't supposed to curse on this show.
No, okay, you can absolutely curse on this show. The only thing I request people not say the list of words that we all know that YouTube has. But if people do, I try to be graceful. Before screaming at them and throwing them off. Ninja Genie says, legally speaking, YouTuber Law has the most depressing channel on this free speech stuff. Love both you guys' content, though. Top-notch legal streaming. Yeah, Leor, I've not been super happy with his takes on this stuff. I think they're legally accurate. I want him to start espousing some principles behind this stuff. And that's been one of my big criticisms personally of Leor's channel and of Leonard French's channel, is that I don't think they adequately voice their position on things. I think they're very good at explaining what the law says, but I want them to start taking a stand for speech. I mean, maybe they don't. I have no idea. But I don't want Lior to just say, well, they're immune from lawsuits. I want him to say they're immune from lawsuits, but they really shouldn't be. And these are the paths we need to start taking, because it's going to be up to us to spread that message. Darking D says they must realize that if they try to stop people from banking that, people will drag them into the streets and execute them like dogs. Maybe. What if you can't buy the pitchforks and torches? Like I guess in memeing Charlottesville, Oriental Trading Company still takes credit cards, and if MasterCard stops processing your payments, you can't buy tiki torches, right? Mithrin Emrys says the mind should develop a blind spot. Wherever a dangerous thought presented itself, the process should be automatic, instinctive. Crime Stop, they called it Newspeak. 1984, progressives want this as the standard. And I think that's true. But two things. One, I want to welcome Gator to the channel. He came in a little while ago, but we've just been ranting, so he hasn't really had anything to say. So, hey, buddy, welcome to the show.
Hey, glad to be here.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on. So what I was hoping that you guys would do for this, and this is a poorly planned stream, so forgive me for that. But I was hoping you guys could walk us through what, what is going on with DLabs, where people can find you. I want to make sure and get a link in the description, and or not DLabs, DLine. What's it called? DLive.
DLive, and there's another service, stream.me, and they're very keen to get us on the platform as well. But I was thinking about doing a stream there tonight, but I don't know. I'm kind of growing. I already like DLive, and then now that it looks like, I don't know, if things keep going the way they're going, I would expect the PayPal and Patreon to probably be next on the chopping block. We'll see. Might not happen.
Sure.
But that's how these things usually go. So I am kind of attracted to the fact that you can buy those Lino coins you can either use your own credit card or you can use your own PayPal account, and then you can send the Lino coins to the streamer, whoever it may be on the platform, and then they can get it transferred to either a PayPal or Bitcoin. Right. So it's pretty attractive.
The other thing is, if you're on DLive, you can actually earn Lino coins for just doing chat, watching stuff, doing stuff on the site.
Sweet.
Yeah, they toss those out for free. It's kind of interesting, actually.
So how'd you connect with them? Like what was, okay, we're shut down on YouTube. We're shut down all over the place. How does it translate then to you getting to DLive? What's the story there?
I'll tell you how it translated. I had about 5 hours to figure out, and we'd already gotten, kicked off YouTube the night before, not absolutely deleted. But we got strikes, and so I was like, well, we're going to figure it out. Memeology offered me his main account to use. Once the accounts got banned, I messaged him, and I said, man, I don't want to go on your account, because they're absolutely not only going to give you a strike, they're going to probably going to delete your whole channel. If we go on with an official Killstream, I don't think they'll mess with your channel since we're guests, you know what I mean?
Right.
But if I was to go on his channel, like officially branded Killstream, it would be all over for your channel. Yep. He's doing such good work that I didn't want to let that happen. So I was looking at some other sources. I had been linked to DLive, I guess, the night before. And it was between DLive and stream.me. And somebody, big YouTuber, actually said, well, stream.me might not be able to do what you want over there, but it's still a good place. So I picked DLive because they seem the most open to the type of program that we do. So went on DLive with no warning whatsoever to their website at all, and we had about around 6,000 people watching. Completely melted down their website. They were not expecting that, but they actually got it back up and running again during our broadcast. So I was kind of happy with the dedication they had. They have an interesting little group of people over there. They were all very happy to see us show up and bring some attention to the site. So
so I found that really awesome. I heard I was streaming all day yesterday because I just had some stuff scheduled, so I wasn't able to catch the show live. But I heard that it nuked or melted down on its own, and I was really impressed that they were able to take that personal attention and get you guys back up and running, which I thought I can't imagine that happening with a lot of other companies. So I thought that was good.
Yeah, they were really nice. In the middle of it, when we were having troubles, I actually found their Twitter and DM'd them, and almost immediately they responded. So yeah, we've been monitoring the situation. We're working on it. So they actually apologized and are like sorry about it. And I was like, no, man, we came over to your place with 5K people. I mean, we didn't tell you or anything. We just burned down your entire site so no one could do anything.
Yeah, you're welcome, Melt. So yeah, that's the next question that I have, because, you know, like thinking about this all from a business perspective, like, so you guys are moving a very active and engaged audience that's been watching the Killstream every day. You know, your channel's been growing tremendously. The viewership has been fantastic, but you're now moving onto a platform. I mean, I think one of the main things that YouTube offers is the convenient ability to spread the marketing, so to speak.
That's true.
So what's the plan for the DLive, like to get people to DLive and to keep growing the channel over there?
Well, so I'm in talks with some other people, perhaps about moving over to DLive as well. Because I mean, you know, as good as the Killstream's been doing, if it's just, you know, the Killstream and a bunch of video game streamers, that's not really, probably not gonna grow it
Right.
like you want. So we're talking to some other people about perhaps moving over with us, if not DLive. I mean, I've talked to other people about perhaps starting our own streaming site and stuff like that, but that brings its own types of headaches. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, just I don't know, get the word out. I do think that there's a lot of people hungry for a real alternative to YouTube, as far as live streaming goes, where there's less rules, where you can say pretty much what you want. And I do think there's a market for it. But like you said, there's a lot of benefits to YouTube. And the number one benefit is it's such a huge website.
Right.
Yes.
And there's so many people on there all the fucking time. And they're liable to discover a stream that they didn't know about, or, oh, what's this trending on live? Oh, it's the Killstream. I never heard of these guys. Let me tune in. There's a lot of people who were exposed to our program just by that alone. So there are some drawbacks to being on a different site for sure. But I mean, we have I have pretty big Twitter account, some other ways to get the word out. For now, I guess we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see
right.
how long it
Well, you have,
goes.
you have that
Maybe-
check mark, so it protects you a little bit. But yeah, I actually thought about this a little bit too. What I was thinking is we should utilize your website. We should write a little bit more. We should
Yes,
do
I
some
agree.
stuff like that. We can do a clip channel, throw it on YouTube. I don't think they'll like that can help us, clip channels, things like that. Twitter, whatever. There's ways we can get the word out. I saw Wild Small actually streaming on DLive last night too. After I was talking to him for a little bit, and he was like, "I'm gonna try it out," and he was doing that too. So I mean, we're gonna get people to migrate over, even if they're simulcasting on YouTube and DLive. It's still good.
Right. That's what I was thinking. I had kind of two thoughts. One, I know there used to be like an IBS network, so to speak, and that, like, I've been learning about all this on the fly, so if I get some details wrong, forgive me. But it seems like there was basically some sort of network. There was an informal time slot arrangement where it's like, look, we're going to do Internet Blood Sports. This is going to be the show. Then this guy's going to stream. Then this guy's going to stream, and so on. I think if you get some of the big streamers who are in a similar sort of genre to you guys, like if you get Warski and Medicare to at least simulcast on DLive and to start talking about it just at, little bits during the beginning of the stream, and you start forming, like, if you make DLive into a station for a network, that seems to be the way to market this thing. And
so that's why I'm talking. I mean, Warski's. I'm talking to him about some stuff. I don't know if he's going to do DLive or we're going to do something, but I'm probably going to move in tandem with him. I think DLive seems to be the best option, particularly with the way they're. Look, if they did this to me, Warski does a very similar show. I'm not going to be surprised if he loses Streamlabs and other stuff soon. If other people lose, I hope that doesn't happen. I want everybody to keep as many ways to support themselves as they can. So I'm not rooting for that. I'm just saying, if things going the way they're going, it's going to continue to happen. And DLive seems to have the best, way to combat that at this point in time. Now we'll see. Things are fluid and they could change very quickly. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, that it's like the double-edged sword. Like you don't want people to be deplatformed, but when they are, that's what motivates people to change, and that's what starts moving things, right? So then I guess I had a question. My brain is so toast.
Gotta
Let's
drink
see.
some more, buddy.
No,
The whiskey got
no.
back there. You gotta drink a little bit.
Man, I woke up. I'm actually relatively hangover free personally. I just don't usually have them, but I get that sour sloshing in the stomach. Oh my god, I've had that all day. It's just horrifying. But no, okay. So let's talk a little bit. So about kind of the Wall Street Journal's role in all this. Because this is what I found kind of interesting. There was so what was that journalist's name? Yori Ko.
Yori Cole. You want to talk about the Wall Street? Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to. I shouldn't do that.
No, you can do that. That's just
that's
an impression.
Oh.
That's just an impression of the of every fat Japanese guy in Bruce Lee movies. That's the way I see that, because Japanese Bushido is the finest. No, so Yoriko goes to write this article, right? And she asks you for comment. You turned her down. You didn't mention it. You mentioned that you were asked for an interview. She disabled her Twitter, or like locked down her Twitter, but you hadn't mentioned her name at all.
No, I hadn't. So I mentioned it after she locked her Twitter down. And
right.
I mentioned it after, but I hadn't mentioned her before. I think she had already gotten some comments back from YouTube and St. Jude, and I think she could see what the shitstorm was about, what was about to happen. She had more info than I had, and then others had at that point. She'd already been talking to all the key players. If she didn't know YouTube was going to be for sure deleting me, she knew they were going to be monitoring that stream and looking for a reason to strike us down. So I think she could see what was about to happen. So
yeah, it sure looked like it. Now, Wall Street Journal, but I was brainlessly talking about how the Wall Street Journal used to be at least a right-leaning publication. It used to have, it used to be one of the quote-unquote decent ones that were still left. But then someone reminded me that they went after PewDiePie for an anti-Semitic joke.
Yes,
which was, and calling it an anti-Semitic joke, I think is maybe a stretch as to just calling it a joke in general. I hate that they load intent into jokes. Like it's not an anti-Semitic joke. It's just a funny joke that involves a particular group of people. Is usually the intent, but I guess not for everybody. But so Wall Street Journal was involved in that. Do you know, was Yoriko involved in that story as well, or is this different people?
Don't know. I don't think so, but I haven't double checked the bylaws on that, so I don't think so. But as far as the Wall Street Journal is concerned, their news operation is fairly left wing. They're kind of like the New York Times if you read them both. As far as the news side goes, now on their opinion pages and their editorials, they're still right, quote unquote, right wing. I should say, Wall Street Republican types. You know what I mean? Not necessarily the firebrands. It's more of hedge fund types and stuff like that. But they're still pretty right wing on the opinion pages. But as far as the news op goes, I would go so far as to say they lean pretty far left, in my opinion.
Okay, yeah, and I don't follow this because reading newspapers it would put me in St. Jude's and I would need donations. I can't take it. Michael Crichton talked about when he would read newspapers about entertainment stuff and they'd get it all consistently wrong. And then he would read the next section, which wasn't about something where he had a specialty, and he'd just accept it as like true. And then he went, wait a minute. If they're consistently getting entertainment information wrong, then they're probably getting everything wrong. And that's my approach to newspapers these days. They're full of so much idiocy. And yeah, if you read about legal issues, they're frequently incorrect. You really can only go to opinion sections to get reliable information, which is weird. It's weird that it's like that. So what I found interesting is that in all of this. Like PewDiePie's a comedian online, right? I think that's safe to say. But you guys, in a lot of ways, are doing a news show. I mean, there's comedy, it's entertainment, but at the same time, you're giving updates on political occurrences. It's with a certain perspective that doesn't make it not news, that doesn't make it not media. When did the media start going after other media? Is it and what's your opinion on like what this trend mean? Like, does it mean that they're going after? Is it all new media? Is it all just outside media? Where's this going for you guys? Like, what do you think about that?
I'll let Zidane or Gator go ahead first because I've been talking so much. I'll let them talk something.
Well, I can definitely feel this one. I think a lot of it is that the old media is scared by the new media. A lot of information, because the way the old media works is all of this stuff is kind of ideologically parsed in the back rooms. You know, they have a story and they all converse amongst each other. The editorial board basically determines, you know, what truth you're going to report today. Is it going to be the editorial board's truth? Is it going to be, you know, what they want the people to believe? So there's a lot of subjectivity into what goes into these articles, because remember, there's always somebody reviewing it. There's always somebody parsing it, making changes, making corrections. So it's not the absolute truth. It's just what they want to show you. The new media is different in that information, it's a stream, almost a stream of consciousness style of information. You're going to get a lot of misinformation, yes, but there's that easy, instant access to information that people have been able to obtain. And I think that scares a lot of the people because they can no longer write these and weave these narratives together, weave these tales together to get people to believe things that may or may not be true, or to believe their selected interpretation of what they believe is going on. And so this is it's created a paradigm shift that has the legacy mainstream media a little bit frightened of the competitors, because people like a little bit of what we do, you know, that mix of entertainment and drama and politics. It's not just informative, but it's fun. And people like to participate, you know, the audiences and fans like to get involved, and that's what makes the show great. I think a lot of the old guard, as it were, sees stuff like that, and intrinsically it terrifies them because it just shows them how close we are. The wolves are at the door for people like the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post. Newspapers are dying off, and their websites aren't nearly able to supplement that loss of income, and they're seeing their power wane. And so I think they're doing more stuff like this because, you know, they don't have nearly the political cash that they once had once upon a time. Well, sure, they have enough to bully someone like YouTube that's just absolutely scared of the headlines. But for any serious player, I sincerely doubt the Wall Street Journal would be able to pull this off. I mean, they didn't get rid of PewDiePie.
No, they didn't.
Put it that way.
Yeah, I want to follow up real quick on something you said, and then I'll let you guys go back to talking. But they don't have the cultural cachet they used to have. When I was a kid, if you saw something, and, you know, I was following the news even as a child, growing up and teenager. If you saw a Wall Street Journal editorial or some big scoop, a New York Times story, you're like, oh wow, you know, it actually had some pizzazz, some power. When you're like, whoa, new report from the New York Times, Wall Street Journal has this allegation about a politician, this or that, Washington Post. Now they don't have nearly as much. It can still pick up traction, but it's not like it was. Most people, especially younger people younger than us here on the stream, don't give a. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care about these outlets. They didn't, you know, grow up with them meaning anything. There is nothing there for them, and I think that they're very threatened about their future, and they see that they used to be able to control. You know, they were the gatekeepers. They could decide who got noticed. They could decide whose books got talked about, whose blogs got talked about, or, you know, before there were even blogs, whose articles got talked about. Now they don't have that, and they want to roll back the clock. Social media accelerated the trend towards them losing their gatekeeper status, and they want to roll back that clock desperately, and they're willing to go to any means necessary to do so.
Well, I just want to say I'm personally glad that you're realizing how hard my job is of not using profanity on this stuff. No, I definitely agree with that. And then what I think is so interesting is like, it's funny because we're calling it old media versus new media, but the new media looks a lot more like really old media, right? Like the idea that that we grew up with, that you were talking about, where the Wall Street Journal was this bastion of objectivity and expertise. The New York Times, like one of my law professors is quoted in New York Times and LA Times quite a bit because he was an expert on drones. And, he talks about how important it was that he would be quoted by these people or interviewed by them. And there was an aura about these publications all throughout my childhood and even into my young adult years. And it started to lose its luster, but that's only about 50 to 60 years old, really. Maybe a little bit older, but prior to that, I mean, especially if you go back to the 1800s, the media in America was very, very different. It was highly localized. It was highly subjective, very opinionated, and often kind of brutal. There was competition because you wouldn't have like the 7 newspapers that are left. You had 7 newspapers in a town. And everybody was
media like they do now. Yeah.
Right. And that's what, to me, YouTube, and not YouTube specifically, but the idea of social media, the idea of easy access to publication has done for us, is that now anybody can jump in, they can have an opinion on something, and it resonates because they're just normal people. They're not highly polished. Like what Gator was saying, all of this stuff is workshopped out in backroom editorial boards, and people, if you don't know, I'm guessing a lot of your audience does, but I think there's a lot of people in America who don't know or don't think about the fact that there are either 4 or 5 wirehouses total that basically all news comes from. You've got Reuters, you've got Fox, you've got Associated Press, and I mean the Fox News Wire. You've got does NBC have one? There really aren't that many. And all of these companies borrow, and you can check it in every byline. It's like a story taken from Associated Press or from...
Or the Associated Press contributed to this report.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of it comes from the AP. Like, they blast it out, and then everybody uses it.
Right. And they're really, like, we have all sorts of media organizations, but there's the people actually generating and covering news outside of independent journalists. It's like 3 companies. They work together. They have agreements that one will take the scoop, and then that way the other news organizations or the other main wire companies can move on to other stories, because if AP is going to cover it, there's no reason for Fox to cover it. It just doesn't make any sense from a business perspective to double up on the same thing. One of them will get a story, and then another will get the next big story. So we've got the ability to come out, break through the workshopping, because no one likes it, right? Like that's what NBC has learned in a weird way. Fox kind of pioneered this with guys like Tucker Carlson, even Sean Hannity, who I think is abysmal on TV. But, they mixed that entertainment. Bill O'Reilly, of course, for a long time was an extremely popular show because they mixed in that entertainment, a little bit of opinion, but a lot of news thrown in there. And they get to walk this imaginary line away from being objective journalists, of which there has never been and never will be. But they didn't have to pretend to be an objective journalist because they were providing entertainment with news. But that's what journalists have always been doing. And that's what's always sold. We just had this weird window where we're trying to pretend it was something else. But I think Gator, you're absolutely right that these companies are fearing for their credibility. They're fearing, or that their credibility doesn't mean anything. They're fearing for their bottom line. They somehow have not figured out what guys like you have figured out, which is that you can engage with your audience and monetize that in tremendous ways. And I mean, you guys were able to monetize, 2 to 10,000 people Like, imagine what an O'Reilly show could do with 10 million people watching if they figured out how to engage fans and monetize it appropriately. And they just don't want to. It's uncomfortable to try and to pierce the veil of what they have, I think. But I think that's what's been selling shows lately on YouTube, is that the audience can participate directly in the show. And of course, that's what they're trying to shut down.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, I hate to use a wrestling metaphor, but
no, use only wrestling metaphors for now.
But ECW used to be a small kind of cult-like following, and the reason people loved going to the shows is because it was so intimate. Like they could interact with the performers on a different level. And I do think that there's a little bit of that. But what you said about the media is absolutely true. This whole objective journalism, we're just going to be neutral in how we write, which by the way is a complete lie in the first place. It's never really existed, but that's how they've sold it. The journalists need to be neutral and all this shit. But
you really don't worry about it. You can.
That was a modern invention. That's not how media in the United States has been throughout our history. Matter of fact, the old media used to be like the old media, the actual old media, from early 1900s, 1800s was more like the Killstream in terms of what they would write, how they would go after people, how they would, make off-color comments and jokes. That was much more what the actual quote unquote establishment newspapers and stuff were like back in the day. And it was, that's more of the stuff that I enjoy actually. So
yeah, well, didn't Alexander Hamilton, didn't he start like the New York Post or whatever?
I don't know if it was the Post or was it the Herald? I don't know. I'd have to look it up.
But he started it was a big newspaper at the time, and he annihilated John Adams. Like he just wrecked his presidency with an opinion piece in it. And then we had I love this I guess reference just because it's I'm for money in politics. Like I want more money in politics. I maybe want some transparency in it, but I want more because I know that limiting money in politics favors incumbents. But Abraham Lincoln's pretty much his entire presidential campaign was run by one newspaper or funded by one newspaper. The idea that this impartial media thing is so weird. It was never like that.
It's not impartial. I mean, even today, Hillary Clinton was basically running through MSNBC, CNN, and all that stuff. The New York Times was writing, good pieces about her. What is that one? Maggie? What is her name? That one reporter, Maggie. I think she works for the New York Times. Like they had emails going back and forth that came out through WikiLeaks. Like they basically had her in their pocket.
Maggie Haber, whatever.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it, Gator. Yeah, that's it. And the paper that you're thinking of Hamilton is a New York Evening Post. I literally just looked that up.
I think it also bears mentioning the fact that once upon a time, all the media outlets competed against each other. It's really only in this modern era that there seems to be this air of cooperation. And I think it's partly due to the internet. They all feel threatened. They're all concerned about this, relatively new kid on the block that's showing up and doing better than they've ever dreamed of doing. So now I think they're all, I hate to use the word colluding, but I mean, it kind of is the literal definition of collusion, where they have these agreements with each other to sort of kind of work together. And then kind of like this tongue-in-cheek sort of attitude, like, hey, we need to screw over internet news as much as humanly possible to try to sustain our unsustainable format.
Yeah, and it is collusion. It is. That's the problem with all of this, is that it's obvious that this is happening. It's happening in media for sure, but it's also happening with this internet stuff. One of the things that blew my mind the other day was when Tim Cook admitted that he personally made the decision to kick Alex Jones off of Apple products. Like, the CEO of Apple decided to kick Alex Jones off. But watching Alex Jones get kicked off, that was the object lesson we all need to take in, is that he got kicked off of every platform except Twitter within, I think, 2 hours. a 2-hour time frame, and Twitter only held on for a couple more days before getting him before throwing him off. And then of course Ralph,
not only that, but the articles about that were just excoriating Twitter for doing this came out relatively soon after Alex Jones was banned.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like they were ready for it. Like maybe they had written up the article and then just had like in brackets social media company that won't cuck, and then they just inserted Twitter when it was the one that was left over. But yeah, and then of course, as we saw with you guys, like not only did they nuke the Killstream, but they got attached channels as well. Did JF get taken down?
So in the article, they said that one of his streams got removed, but the journalist is such a complete. I was about to go off. Such a complete
incompetent.
Yes, imbecile. That she said that YouTube had deleted the stream, which is incorrect. She obviously, these people are stupid. They're really not bright. They don't understand the subjects that they're writing about, even on a cursory level. So she was like, she in her email to me, well, can you confirm that you get money from super chats and that you share those with YouTube? And then she asked, do you delete the streams or does YouTube delete the stream? Like, she doesn't even know what she is talking about. And if you read the article itself, there's several errors like that one. I had Jeff on the Killstream last night and he said, no, I deleted that one myself because there were some things that happened on stream. And I was like, it's not worth it. Just delete it, which we've done before too.
Right.
Matter of fact, we established a thing where we pretty much took down almost every single stream and put them on an archive. And looking back, maybe we should just delete them altogether. But you know,
should have archived them on Pornhub.
Yeah. Well, there's different. I mean, so it's tricky because you could just do the stream and delete them and never have them back up. But a lot of people, so for instance, we have a podcast site where they send out all of our streams. It's even on, for now, some of the bigger podcast places, Stitcher. We have our own Zencast, but it syndicates it through all the other podcast sites. We get a lot of listeners who download on their phone and listen while they're at work or while they're at the gym and stuff. So, I mean, by just completely deleting your content altogether, you're losing some of that engagement. So I just decided not to do that. Looking back, maybe I should have. But
well, I don't think so though. I mean, hindsight's 2020 on when the nuclear bomb is going to drop. But I'm sure Hiroshima thought they were doing the right thing by listening to the emperor for a while too. But it's like, no, because you have to have the archives up. Because live TV, right? You never know what's going to happen. You never know who's going to show up. You never know when Mundane Matt's going to come on and just ruin his own career for a while live on the show. And if you just deleted that, how would you attract more people to the live show? Like they weren't there. And if it just disappears into the memory hole and is only spoken about in myth and legend, you might get a few more viewers. But having the people come on and watch how the show unfolds live that's the back channel, not back channel, but that's the marketing that follows, and that's how your channel grows. So I don't think you were making the wrong decision there, because it's how you would market any product of this type under any normal circumstances. And what's dumb is, even though maybe we should all expect this, no one has expected that this is going to happen each time it happens. Like, Alex Jones was on for so long saying so many things that are various levels of spectrum crazy on so many different subjects. It's like, you can't point to the one thing that shut him down. And you can't point to maybe someone out there can point to the specific reason why Alex Jones had to be shut down at that time, but then it happened. So then, I mean, why a stream from September 30th on your channel drew so much ire that St. Jude's would refund the money rather than take it to do cancer research? The St. Jude's, let's do this in the most crass way we can, that St. Jude's would give $26,000 to white supremacists because that's what St.
Get
Jude's
the money
did.
back. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
They decided to fund white supremacy. Good job, St. Jude's. But
And
that was 2 months ago.
It was a month ago, and the only reason that the Wall Street Journal kicked this up, that YouTube really doesn't care. But if you and St. Jude's, I don't think really cared either. But once they start getting negative attention, the media's poking around looking for an angle. And, after the Pittsburgh thing, I was probably already on this retard's radar, and she's like, well, let me go try to dig some stuff up. And that's when they care. When you start making them have heat in the news media, then all of a sudden they care. They really just mostly care about making money. But once you start making them look bad, it changes. I guess the thing with Alex Jones, you talk about, well, even though they know it's coming, they don't necessarily see it coming when it happens. That's kind of what happened with us yesterday. But I guess it's like the frog in the boiling pot of water. Like, you feel it getting hotter, it's getting hotter, and you're like, whoa, it's getting pretty hot in here. I can tell. And then all of a sudden, it's boiling. And so I guess that's kind of how it is with this. Even though it's going to happen, when it does happen, it happens so swift, so sudden, that you're left trying to feel around and figure out some stuff. I think we've done pretty well with it. It's still early days. We'll see how it goes going forward, but.
Right.
Well,
right.
Also just to mention, like, regarding the super chats for good, Dick Masterson found out that in their FAQs, they don't give the donations until 90 days after the end of the month that you streamed. So they still had the money. St. Jude didn't even have it, but I guess they canceled the money.
Yeah, that's what the piece said, that St. Jude turned it down specifically. But and some people were like, it was St. Jude's. It wasn't the Wall Street Journal, but I think, was it Medicare tweeted out something along the lines of, they had a month to raise a fuss and they didn't. Not until this thing happened with Wall Street Journal, not until some journalist, and this is always how it goes, right? This is how it went with Count Dankula. He makes a silly video, and no one's offended by it. No one makes any complaints about it, but some busybody takes the video and then goes and shows a bunch of people who they hope will be offended, and then they find someone and offend them with it. Like, it was like they weren't watching. They weren't watching and didn't care until someone brought it to them. And St. Jude's, like, didn't care until St. Jude's was put in the hot seat. Well, I assume they had.
I agree with you. I don't think they knew anything about where the money is coming, because how it worked is I donated to it myself. I know Ralph did too. Yeah. And how it worked is, as soon as we donated to it, I got an email back saying this is going straight to St. Jude's, whatever. I don't think they knew who it's coming from, where it's coming from. It's just a donation that goes from us to YouTube to them, not knowing the stream, not knowing the context, not knowing anything about that. The only way these people knew is because the Wall Street Journal came to them and were like, hey, did you know this? And asked for comment from YouTube and asked for comment from St. Jude's. And they're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. St. Jude's is put in the position of, will you accept Nazi money or whatever?
Basically.
Like, and what's silly is that, I was on the show. Thank you, by the way. That was a ton of fun.
Of course.
But the super chats weren't actually, like, there were some that were a little ridiculous, but most of them weren't. Most of them are not. And so, but they basically do can you imagine a bad Photoshop compilation of the offensive super chats, and they bring that to the kills, or to St. Jude's, and they're like, can you support this? And they're like, well, yeah, but what's the other $25,000 worth of super chats say? They said, well, does it matter? Does it matter at all?
I imagine what they did, because there weren't a lot of super chats that I noticed, because Zidane and I were watching the super chat screen because we were trying to, like, keep sort of
I was trying to add it up as drunk as
yeah,
I was with
you
the
were
fucking calculator.
I could just imagine your face hitting the calculator every so often.
Yeah. So we were kind of keeping an eye on it, and truth be told, like, there weren't that many that were, like, considered offensive. So what I imagine they did is, I imagine they took the small amount that they found on that particular stream, then probably went to some of our other streams that were still up took screenshots of those and then tried to play those off as, oh, do you want to support this?
Right.
So I don't even think that they were completely honest when they went to the to St. Jude's with the information that they had. I have a feeling that they were deliberately misleading.
Again, who cares? Why does it matter what somebody wrote? Who gives a
Exactly.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Write whatever personally, write whatever you want. I say whatever you want. Do whatever you want. Free speech for everything. Say everything that's on your mind. Don't hide it. Just go full force. Do it. And yes, I almost cursed there, and I had to stop myself.
Yeah, and absolutely. Absolutely. Because no matter where you sit on the political spectrum, if you, like, let's say you hate Nazis and white supremacy and you hate all racists, don't you want to know who they are? Like, don't you want to hear them say it so you know, well, okay, I need to stay away from this person. I don't want to associate with them. That's fine, right? Like, you want the KKK announcing that they're the KKK. That I thought that's the hoods were the problem, because you never knew who it was. You never knew who was. It's like the secret police or the Stasi or whatever. Like, when you don't know who they are, that's what's terrifying. When you know who they are, it's just a person you disagree with. And
even then, you could probably super chat, punch all Nazis, do this to Nazis, and it'll be fine. No one will complain about that one bit.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna take a big risk here, and I'm gonna say crack or honky, and see how long it takes.
Oh no, it's over.
The ICBM has been launched.
Did it now.
But
by the way, I don't know if you guys saw this. They actually put the Wall Street Journal story on Drudge. So
yes, I saw that.
The Killstream actually made Drudge today.
Good.
Is that how you were expecting your first Drudge article to go?
Well, it happened, so no. But I wasn't. No,
I was honestly expecting it to be something along the lines of evil right-wing Nazis on YouTube. I just didn't expect it like this.
Yeah. So what's it take to get Drudge on the Killstream?
I don't know. You know, Drudge. I like Drudge. I go there often. But Drudge is just an aggregator site, so it's not necessarily that he's co-signing the story. Also, Drudge. This is not. He doesn't say this publicly, but I have suspicions that he has some financial arrangements for certain placements of certain stories on his site. So that has come to my mind possibly before about certain outlets that he continually links all the time, and you're thinking, why? I mean, this outlet's kind of shit. Probably because they paid him a lot of money, if I had to guess. But just him having it doesn't necessarily mean he's co-signing everything in the article.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Ralph, don't do that. You know that when you post something, you retweet it, you like it, you automatically endorse the worst part of it. So I think what you need to do though is find out wherever Drudge is and super chat him, notice me senpai, and get him on the kill stream.
Kind of a recluse, like, but maybe we could. Well, I shouldn't even joke about. I was about to say.
No,
I was about to joke about kidnapping, but perhaps I shouldn't even make jokes like that anymore.
Call Yoriko up, because here's how you pitch it to Yoriko. You say, look, you've got to hate the Drudge Report. You want to get the Drudge Report taken down, you get Drudge on Killstream. And then you write your hit piece on him. But
we'll sneak her in a rickshaw. Maybe we can get her.
That's fuck you.
The one person who curses is Nora, of course.
Oh, sorry. I'm British. We don't. We can't censor ourselves like that. We'll censor ourselves about other things, but not swearing, not that.
Right. Yeah, you're not Canadian. They can censor themselves on anything. They'll apologize for censoring themselves or not censoring themselves. But, okay. So I'm trying to think if I had any other questions. I mean, so people find you on DLive for now. You're gonna keep updating things on Twitter.
I think we'll probably do a stream tonight. Actually, if the other gentlemen are down, I'm thinking about doing a special stream.
I was gonna do one, but if we're doing a kill stream, we're doing a.
Yeah, I think we're gonna do one maybe around 11 o'clock. DLive.com/the Ralph Retort. Get your lemons ready. Get your ice creams and your whatever ninja, which I don't even know the hell that is, but yeah, get those ready. We'll be going on DLive tonight.
Yeah.
Maybe an unofficial kill stream. We'll see.
Well,
just a fun show. So.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's the solution is the fortunate thing about your channel. It's not fortunate, but the fact that you do a daily show is the one thing that's going to keep, like, you're not going to disappear into the ether, because you've got an audience who will show up, and it's great that they did show up, and they need to keep doing it. You need to spread the word out there, audience, of course, to keep people interested and to get new people to the platform, because we do have to break YouTube's stranglehold. I mean, the fact that we've all been accepting a 30% cut of super chats in the first place out of convenience is embarrassing almost.
It is.
But
straight off top, not even, PayPal fee. It's 30%. I think it goes up to 40 if it's over $100 or something like that. I don't know. They take a lot. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, it's taxation without representation too, because they don't really give you a great venue by which to contact them if you have a problem. No. If you're not one of their anointed ones, then they don't care.
Yeah, if you're not in the million plus club, you pretty much don't have a chance.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So, well, anyways, I don't want to take up all y'all's time. I really appreciate you guys coming on with me. I do have a bunch of chats to read through.
Oh, we'll say this. Josh from Kiwi Farms wanted to know if he could come on. I don't know if he still wants to come on or not. If you want to have him on, I might stick around for a minute. So he wanted to talk about the unpersoning thing. I don't know if you want to have him on or not.
Yeah, I'll have Josh on. Absolutely. Josh. Okay. Let me hit you with the,
I'll send him the link. Don't worry.
Okay, yeah. Come on, buddy. In the meanwhile, let me hammer through some of these chats real quick, so that we keep on top of those. Okay, we've got. Wait a minute. It undid some of those chats. I hate YouTube system so much for this. Okay, Matt Field says, if Ralph doesn't get paid, I will do a chargeback. Okay.
You should, yeah.
Oh. I thought he was saying if you didn't get paid from this super chat. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess that.
No, not from no. Nick.
Yeah. No, I my brain wasn't putting together the that was back when we were talking about YouTube potentially not paying you, but hopefully they don't do that. And if they do, there's some real questions about what they can do there, I think. Slammer I Jam Down says Ninja Guinness and Rabbi Rekieta Rolls Royces. Rubbishy Crap says click where it says top chat and select live chat. Yeah, that on the Streamlabs OBS, it doesn't allow me to interact with that. I have to work on it, guys, and I'm still learning that. Lord Akira says Ruthen Alf is the first dolphin to be able to live stream, and YouTube wants to ban that. Absurdity at its finest. Gunsbeer Freedom 87 says, I don't think you can get more racist than Strom Thurmond. Yeah, it's pretty tough. Heel Turn News, can Ralph pursue a tort against Wall Street Journal? Probably not, unfortunately. Probably not. Kale says, come on, people. Respect the host rules. No naughty words. Pretend you write to grandma. Yeah, also eat your oatmeal and go to bed at 5. Heel Turn News says, standing requirements for complaint, RE Section 230. Section 230 is a shield. It's not a statute that confers civil liability. It makes him immune from civil liability. So you'd have standing under whatever tort that you're alleging against them. The Section 230 would be raised as a defense to have the lawsuit dismissed. So hopefully that clears that up. Jospy says, buzzword, you're F now, bud. Rando number 9 says, look on the bright side, guys. At least they haven't showed all your Twitter accounts, so all isn't lost. Please don't give them ideas. Rachel says, can Congress change Section 230 to require internet companies to abide to the Bill of Rights in order to get the protections afforded to platforms? Yes. Wall Street, Alan Grant says Wall Street Journal is a pits. Keep up the good work. Captain Jackass says, sorry if addressed. There's dirt on Wall Street Journal lady's dad. He pled guilty to a misdemeanor. I was considering going through the case documents, but they're really, really boring. Basically, they were bringing in an unlabeled, non-FDA approved drug from Canada and selling it to people for cancer treatments in violation of all sorts of FDA regulations. So they pled guilty to that. That was last year in 2007, both her mom and dad. It was a misdemeanor. I don't think they had any jail time. They had like a $7,500 fine.
Lock them up, Nick. Don't be soft on crime.
I'm not soft on it. I think personally that they should have to go to St. Jude's and or to every cancer patient and apologize for trying to murder them with unlabeled drugs.
I think that's why they're so angry with St. Jude, because they only use FDA approved drugs.
Right.
Stop stealing my fucking joke.
That is not your joke. I came up with that joke, you liar.
Swear to God, motherfucker.
You're such
Oh my God, Nora!
I'm sorry.
No, you're.
I
you're
did not
fine.
steal that joke. I deny it, and I'm
Liar.
Oh, never mind.
You're
I
a
was about to make
fucking
joke.
liar.
Oh my God!
Who are you gonna believe, the white man
Liar.
or this
Liar.
minority?
Oh well, you know
here?
what? I don't have a Wall Street Journal hit piece on me, so clearly
Not
I'm
yet.
the more reliable.
It's coming,
person.
Nora. It's coming.
Don't make that joke, Josh.
My virgin ears have been deflowered.
Oh, whatever. You don't swear, but you stick sex toys in your mouth. So like, what's
Oh, that's
Oh, wait,
a low
what is
blow.
this? Hold on.
worse? Go on, show them that little mouth opener that you keep.
Wait, what is this? I haven't heard about this.
So I do a show with Sriracha in homage to one of Josh's, or no, Mundane Matt over at Kiwi Farms' biggest threads, which is Russell Greer. And I have this prosthetic to help me talk like Russell Greer. Because he has Mobius syndrome and his lips can't close. So we read through his book on why he sued Taylor Swift, and sometimes you have to accurately represent what's going on. This is not a sex toy. This is a jaw exercise implement.
Is that what we call it?
That's why I have this nice trimmed cheek line.
I've taken this nice young man, this certified lawyer, and I've made him into a monster through cyberbullying. Where he's now mocking the physically disabled on live stream.
I had some hesitations about mocking his disability until I started reading his words. Now I don't feel bad about it at all. Just a couple more of these chats real quick, and then we'll get to you, Josh. Welcome to the stream, by the way, buddy. Sketch Therapy says it's the Frankfurt School of Cultural Marxism and their march through the institutions on entertainment. Took it, then on academia and took it. They're coming for the legal system and internet next. Yep, absolutely. And there actually are rules about making sure that we lawyers represent ourselves in a way that does not indicate that we would not be open to representing members of a protected class. So if I make too many gay jokes, I guess there could be some ethical violation. Although I don't know of anybody actually punished for that.
So could you tell everybody what all I've done a little reading on this myself. Could you name the protected classes for the stream?
It really depends on if you're state or federal. Federal protected classes are going to be race and ethnicity, national origin, sex, religion, and that's about it. There might be one other, but they do not recognize sexual orientation as a protected class or gender identity at the federal level. Now,
isn't pregnancy one of the federal ones, or is that
that falls under sex discrimination? Since only women can be pregnant, because the feds they hate female to male trans, so they hate pregnant dads. I think that's how we conclude that. But yeah, that's the federal level, and then the individual states are going to be very different. California ostensibly protects political orientation as a protected class, but it's really hard to get to. I think they're the only state that does. But most states now do recognize sexual orientation as a protected class. Sketch therapy.
Do they recognize attack helicopters yet, though? That's my question.
Not at the federal level. Gender identity is not in there, and furries are not recognized as people.
Thank God for that one.
Sketch Therapy
Thank
says,
God.
they are the fash they wish to bash, collusion, state and corruption, and the creation of a protected class and redistribution of its agency, and any damages accrued by that protected class is the epitome of fascism. I agree with you. Guns Veer Freedom, Nick, you have it right. Media news has historically been fighting with itself. Pulitzer and Hearst fighting led to the Spanish-American War 100 years ago. French newspapers fought during the Revolution and so on. It's built into the profession. 3 more. Handlebar Fox, media monopoly was cracked by Limbaugh in 88, and the talk radio phenomenon that came after. Yes, I agree with that, and now we're breaking it again. Kiwi Farms, the gay frog in the pot of boiling chemicals, a classic story. And
It took me a second because I was actually typing something, and so it took me a minute for my brain to process that. But yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna read that one to my children tonight. Solvis says we use Nazi medical research. Guess we can't now. Right, and Germans still hold on to a lot of Nazi laws that they really liked. So you know, I actually was making that point on my stream with Ethan Van Sciver and Jason Youngbluth. Was that you can actually accept portions of work from people that you disagree with, because to say otherwise is a genetic fallacy. It came from someone I disagree with, so it can't be good, is wrong. If you agree with the principle, it doesn't matter who says it. But anyway, welcome, Josh. Welcome to the stream.
Oh, I have so much to say. I've been holding it in. I've been like a little bottle rocket.
Well, lay it on me, buddy.
Let's start with China. You were talking about
China.
You were talking. You were talking about these credit agencies. Well, have you heard of the Sesame Score?
Yeah, that's the it's like Black Mirror enacted, right? Where you have
it is supposedly a Chinese equivalent of one of the 3 credit bureaus, but it actually tracks a lot more than your credit standing. It tracks your social standing. And I can send you a video. I'm going to do this right now, where it's basically just a like one of the voices on the trains that are telling you information about your travels and stuff. And it's basically saying if you don't behave on the train, they're going to put it on your Sesame Score that you're a delinquent. And I guess other platforms will make decisions about that. So if you want to if you ever come up with a crazy spirit like, oh, these companies are conspiring against us, they're going to track this and that and share this information and make content decisions based on that information. You sound like a crazy person. Look at China. It already exists. And China does not people have a misconception that if you say something the government doesn't like, you just go to the gulag. They just get rid of you. Not the case. They have organized a socioeconomic structure around right think. And they positively reinforce people financially and within the party for saying and doing things that they like. And that goes down to social media. If you like or retweet something on their version of Twitter that's owned by the government, your Sesame Score goes up. Like, these guys are sharing the party line. They're saying that Taiwan and Tibet are a part of the country, an integral part of the territories. They're sharing good articles about the South China Sea crisis. These are the good guys. You can put them in government. You can give them good, high-paying jobs. If they do the opposite, or even if they don't do those things, then their score goes down. And people can look at each other. They're basically all doxed on the Sesame Score, right? And you can check and see, oh, this guy that I might be renting this nice apartment to has shitty Sesame Score. And he's a little bit of a political dissident. I don't want to deal with the party. I'm not going to let this guy in my building. So all this shit you're worried about already exists.
Yeah.
In China.
Well, and to pile on to that, I mean, if you want to know, like, Google and Apple are desperately trying to break into the Chinese market because the Chinese market is huge. Lots of money, lots of people.
But there's something else specific that they want. Google specifically wants access to the one thing that China is not just a part of, a huge part of. It is one of the forefront. It is the best at this, and that's machine learning. Shanghai and Beijing are number one in terms of educating people in machine learning. GPUs are critical in machine learning. They do the thinking, they do the processing. GPUs are trivial and cheap to get in China. And Google wants their machine learning technology, and they're breaking into the market, not just to get that market, because Alibaba and the big search engine there, I forget the name of it, they're already big there. They're not going away. They want specifically the machine learning. And you can see with YouTube, you can see with the way that Google is censoring shit and quarantining people. And I want to talk more about quarantining in a second, because that's my fear with DLive. They want to be able to analyze and programmatically delete or quarantine speech they don't like to keep it away from the mainstream audiences. And they're going to do that on Twitter. They're going to do that on YouTube. They're going to do that on Facebook. They already are doing it on all those platforms. They're just going to get a lot better at it every year.
Well, and we know that the Chinese are good at machine learning because they had that AI bot and it concluded that communism was terrible. So it learned correctly. They re-educated it, though.
Baidu, somebody mentioned in chat, it's Baidu is the version in China for search engine. And yeah, if you try, you can access Baidu outside of China. And if you want to have a little bit of fun, try searching about Tiananmen Square. You might get some interesting results. Your Sesame score might go down. But yeah, I like China, and if things go tits up here, I'll move to China, and I'll have the best fucking Sesame score in the goddamn country. Okay, like I have no fear, because the way that things are going here is scary. And I mentioned quarantining. Ralph will remember this. There was that woman who was going after Medicare for a little while called Joanne Donovan, and Joanne Donovan has a PBS segment you can still find. About social quarantining and quarantining hate, and this exercise.
Oh, she's a despicable human being, and she's just the most disgusting creature, like Jabba the Hutt brought to life. Just
Wait,
how does this?
Like Jabba the Hutt did a Dragon Ball Z fusion dance with Peter.
How does she even still? How does she breathe at night? She must have a CPAP. There's no way she can. She can breathe while she sleeps. But yeah,
something I don't like on the internet.
I want to say Boston University, somewhere up there. I don't know, but she was the one responsible for the BuzzFeed piece that came out in May, the first salvo in the super chat attacks. It was actually cited in this Wall Street Journal piece.
Wait, was that the AIU thing? The alternative influencers or AIN?
No, she is involved with Data Society or whatever.
She was involved in it, yeah.
Yeah, so she kind of helped with that report, but Becca Lewis was the one who actually authored the report. But she was involved with that. She's definitely involved with those people. She works for Data and Society, whatever the name of that place is. But she was the source on the BuzzFeed article, quoted voluminously in the BuzzFeed article about super chats from May. And we showed her fat face on stream and showed her Twitter account, and she filed a privacy complaint against us with YouTube. First time and only time I ever got one of those, a privacy complaint for showing her public Twitter account and showing the quotes that she made in a, obviously BuzzFeed public article. She tried to get our video taken down way back when in May. So yes, I'm very familiar with.
But the move to DLive, the issue with that is that you mentioned it is a smaller platform, very small, and you can't naturally reach out to more people if you're on that platform. You can get the word out, but it creates. My theory is that in the near future, the next 5 to 10 years, you're going to see a complete breakdown of the internet. You're going to see, because there are 5 different what are called regional internet registries that are responsible for divvying up the few billion IP addresses that exist in the IPv4 universe. And these 5 regional internet registries are a part of a network that is under ICANN. And in the last year of Obama's term, he took the nonprofit organization called ICANN, which is responsible for assigning these numbers from the RIRs, and gave it to the UN. So now the UN can vote on null routing specific IPs that belong to certain services. So you're going to see a complete collapse when dictators and broken democracies and even the EU realize that they have this power. They're going to start hacking the internet up. And it's going to go from a big I internet where everybody's a part of that same few billion IPs in the ecosystem to many small I internets where people have regional access to certain services. And you already see that in China. They already have their own small I internet. And it's going to get bad. It's going to get bad really fast. Enjoy it while you can. And this is just one small part of it. And I was thinking about this when he was talking about how he was thinking about Bitcoin and getting money. Well, you try to talk to the Killstream people about Bitcoin. I make jokes that I'm a part of a crypto theocracy. It's not a joke. I live in Eastern Europe right now. I tried to use Streamlabs to send you a donation over that instead of a super chat. They rejected my cards. I don't know why. I even used the VPN to try to hide my location. I was getting like fraud alerts. I tried to buy a computer. I had the money in the bank. I just went to send them money for a computer. I tried to get onto the on the phone with the top anti-fraud person in the bank, and she said that they deactivated like 7 levels of fraud protection, and they would not let me use my card in this country. So it makes my blood boil when I have money to spend and I can't fucking send it because some asshole in a bank said that you can't. And you know, I have my own ISP now. I have my own hosting services. I have my own server. I have my own forum. I have my own domains. I have everything that I can possibly buy. The next thing I can buy is my own credit card processor and my own ISP. And you think about, you could essentially make your own little internet. If you throw $1 billion at it, you can get that set up. But you could never recoup that expenses through the credit card processing because they will shut you down. And it costs about $1 million to make your own credit card processor. And that's considering all the, like each state has its own license to become a processor.
Right.
So you buy all those licenses and you're certified, you're ready to go, you're legal. MasterCard and Visa card are the only companies that matter. And if they say you can't process a transaction, you're done for. Somebody tried, like for instance, there's a law saying that all art that was moved about in World War II belongs to a certain company. I can't think of the name of it right now. But 2 private individuals in 2 different countries that are not the US said, we want to buy this art for several $1 million. We're going to do a bank wire. They tried to do the wire. The United States said you couldn't have that transaction. They had MasterCard, Visa card rescind that transaction. Of 2 private individuals in 2 different countries, they fucked over that transaction because of some international law the US was enforcing through those companies. So it's completely fucked, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I disagree with you. I think that having the government interfere with Section 230 and making an Internet Bill of Rights not necessary. As long as people can make money from what they're doing, it's okay to have shitty companies like Google. We can make new ones, but we have to have a way to send money. And right now, the way it is, you'll never get MasterCard and Visa card to comply. It's not just Stripe. It's not just Braintree. It's not just PayPal. All these companies are beholden to the duopoly. And you have to either have a way for people to open their own. You have to force MasterCard and Visa card to be neutral, or people have to get on Bitcoin. And Bitcoin right now is the only option. And if people don't get on it, it's fucked. I recommend learning Chinese and going there because it's going to be the same everywhere.
Well, thanks for ruining my entire day.
I saw somebody in the chat was like, I get sad every time Josh comes on.
He
starts dropping too many black pills. But he's right. I mean, look, we just got kicked off Streamlabs earlier. You know, I've got my fingers crossed that further happenings don't go on that front. But you know, I'm also
and it's not collusion.
I'm a realist as well, so it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, but can I buy nooses with Bitcoin? Because
yes,
I've
been living off Bitcoin exclusively for 3 years. I barely use my credit card. All I'm going to do with my credit card is buy Bitcoin with it, and then I'm going to buy my fucking computer, and they can suck my dick. You can't stop me. I've got Bitcoin. I've got Satoshi. Motherfucker.
No, I mean that's it's terrifying. It's terrifying. The thing that worries me is that you know, but I've had a couple discussions about Bitcoin with people, and I am not I'm nowhere near qualified to talk about Bitcoin from the tech side of it at all. The thing that worries me is that Visa and MasterCard will work with their financial partners to find ways to devalue Bitcoin. That they will find
they
ways
will try.
to make it. Yeah,
they will try, and as long as they're the big fish in a small pond, they will be able to. And they know it's entirely speculative. They can do whatever the fuck they want. China has said again and again, we're going to ban Bitcoin. We're not going to ban Bitcoin. The price dips and spikes predictably when that happens. People make jokes that the Chinese are actually manipulating the currency by making these announcements, so that they you know the communists can buy the Bitcoin when they make the announcements and so on. But the more people that get into it, the better it's going to be. And there's a finite number of Bitcoin in the ecosystem. It halves every so often the payouts for the mining. There's a specific number, some number of million of Bitcoin that will ever exist, and the payouts will increasingly get smaller as it approaches that number. And there are fewer Bitcoin in the entire set, in the constant, than there are millionaires living right now. And I think that as people buy into it, as they continually get fucked, more people are going to get into the ecosystem, and the price will continue to drive upwards. So, people will give me shit like, oh, it's not backed by gold, it's not worth anything. It's backed by proof of work. It is backed by something. The system is a series of constants, of mathematical constants, and you can do as much research as you want. If it could be hacked, it would have been hacked by now, because it's worth more than Disney, the entire economy. But do I think Congress is going to do anything about MasterCard, Visa card? No. And it's not like collusion. It's not like an upper echelon conspiracy against Ralph. It probably is just this one person causing problems, because Rekieta and Ralph both know about my stalker and know how one person who's been aggressively stalking me for 3 years has gotten me kicked off of Linode, of Gandhi, of Coinbase, of PayPal, of all these different, like 50 plus different VPS providers. It's nonstop. It's what one very dedicated person can do is unbelievable, because of how the internet is and how afraid of bad publicity every company is. Gab, the fucking idiot. I'm just gonna say it. Torba is a moron, and he had 3 years to prepare for this. I told him when he started what he could expect when it gets hot, and he did nothing with that time and with that money, and
isn't Torba back online and everything now?
He's hosting with some anime host in Europe. Has he looked into Europe's laws? The moment they realize that there's Holocaust denial going on in that Gab, he's gone, because they have Holocaust denial laws in Europe. You can't host there if you're gonna. You can't host your neo-Nazi site in fucking Europe. It doesn't work. They're gonna kick you off. And he made some grandiose tweet about how we had to leave the United States to have free speech. Think about that. No, motherfucker, you chose to leave. You chose to leave the United States. The issue is not the legality of hosting in the U.S. The U.S. is still. I looked everywhere. I read the Constitution of Suriname to try and find a better place to host my site about bullying retards on the internet, and the U.S. was still the best. And he chose to leave. The issue with the U.S. is not the laws. The laws are perfect. It is the fear that the companies have regarding bad publicity.
I disavow you saying the laws are perfect. You status bootleg.
As far as 230 is concerned, as far as what's deemed illegal, the only thing that I have an issue with in the United States, legal wise and with speech wise, is the DMCA. The DMCA is an abomination of frustration and pain and agony and suffering. Aside from that, I can't imagine what your issue is with the 230.
You can't imagine what my issue is with 230. The fact that, look, it's less about the fact that they can kick people off. That's a side effect. But that Facebook and Twitter have tort immunity. Like they have tort immunity from all of these actions, and it goes beyond Facebook and Twitter. It goes to Patreon. It goes to PayPal. If you really want to know, it goes to MasterCard and Visa as well. They're service providers under 230. So if you want to know, there's no legal avenue to challenge any of these people, including the payment processors themselves, because they're shielded under the broad definition of service providers for 230. Now we have.
If the issue with 230 is that it's too strong in protecting companies, I don't have an issue with that. Yeah, I think that YouTube is shit. I think that Twitter is shit. I think Google's shit. But as it stands right now, if people could find a way to get around traditional payment avenues, the internet is fine as it is right now. It looks all doom and gloom. I may sound like I'm advocating for the bombs to drop, but the internet is primed and ready for alternatives to rise up. It's just that it can't get money out. And I guess if you could better explain how 230 prevents anybody from saying MasterCard and Visa card, you're making political decisions that disrupt the flow, the exchange of goods. I would sympathize with that. But this is not new. If you look up a guy, if you are bored and want some reading material, look up a guy called Charles Coughlin. Does anybody here know the name Charles Coughlin?
No, not
I mean,
me.
are you talking about Father Coughlin? Is that
Father Coughlin?
Yes,
He
yes.
was a Catholic preacher. I think he was Irish and Canadian, but moved to the United States in the 19 somethings before World War II. And as World War II brought on, Charles Coughlin was actually staunchly pro Nazi Germany, and he challenged FDR publicly regarding a great number of his political decisions and ideas. Charles Coughlin was the inventor of the modern talk show radio. He had a program that reached 40 million households at its peak in the 1940s through radio. He was a big deal. He was like the father of Limbaugh, the father of Alex Jones, and he had sympathies for Adolf Hitler because he saw him as a good Christian man, basically. And Father Coughlin was basically cut at the knees by FDR, who yanked.
He was just jealous of him standing up.
But Father Coughlin ran a newspaper before he did radio called Social Justice, which is very ironic these days. But the Nazis running the Social Justice newspaper. But eventually, FDR yanked his broadcasting license in the late 30s, and he lost his talk show. So he went back to print, and he went back to printing newspaper and sending that out to his audience. And FDR further directed the post office to stop delivering and receiving mail for Charles Coughlin, which effectively ended his entire career. He went back to his parish and died in obscurity. So you have to watch out for the government, and you have to watch out for the businesses. And this deplatforming shit is not new at all. It's been going on since the 40s.
Yeah, well, if you're going to go back to the 40s to talk about deplatforming going on, absolutely. There was all sorts of deplatforming. Like you're talking about the same era where the president of the United States rounded up Japanese Americans because they had Japanese heritage and put them in camps and took their farmland too. Like I'm not saying censorship is new, but Section 230 provides anyone under the broad, and it's an extremely broad definition of a service provider with blanket immunity from any torts that may arise from their good faith actions in removing content from anything. So that includes, for example, Stripe saying that they're not going to fund Gab. Right, or they're not going to allow payment processing for Gab because technically under 230 they're a service provider. Now, does
Kiwi
Stripe...
Farms was kicked off Gab, and Infinity Next, when I was crowdfunding that, I don't know what prompted them to kick off Infinity Next from their service, but yeah,
off of Gab, you said?
Off of Stripe.
Oh, off of Stripe, yeah. And my point though, with the 230 immunity is that we actually have other standards for service providers or service platforms that have existed for a very long time. And we only made this exception for internet-based companies because at the time that they wrote the law, there wasn't the ability to actively monitor what was going on. But now we know that companies like Apple, Facebook, Google, they employ staffs of 20 to 40,000 people to monitor everything. They also employ machine learning and algorithms to monitor things as well. So they don't need those same protections. What they need are the publisher distributor protections that exist in every other service platform industry. Whereas if they, and I would argue for distributor, for the vast majority of companies, distributor protection would be fine, where people can publish anything they want on their system. And when the distributor or the distributing platform is made aware of illegal content, they then have a duty to remove it. But they have to have actual knowledge, not constructive knowledge. That would be the publisher protections, because publishers have an editorial role in choosing content. Once they have a know or should have known standard that's a little different. But this is how, the
issue with that is that's not going to apply to who you think it's going to apply. It's going to apply to the Kiwi Farms. It's going to apply to 8chan. It's not going to apply to the big processors. You're never going to get the case that changes that for them, even if you change the law. I would never touch 230. I would never touch it. I might enshrine it in gold, but I'm not going to touch it. If as far like they did touch it. They touched it to do something with prostitution not too long ago, so they could shut down Backpage, and they could add a little footnote like that saying MasterCard and Visa card have to stop being pricks. And that
or
would be
say
fine.
that MasterCard and Visa card aren't service providers under the definition, or say that there's a way, like right now with the way the law is written, again, they have a good faith standard and everything is in good faith. And then the other standard they have is otherwise offensive content. They can narrow the scope of content that needs to be afforded 230 protection, and they can narrow the definition of service provider. They can do lots of things to clean up the law that was written when the internet didn't exist as it does now. Like AOL Instant Messenger didn't even really exist. This is 96. When did AOL Instant Messenger come around? I mean, it's sometime around.
I don't know. Before I started using the internet.
But this is, this predates MySpace. This predates any sort of notion of social media.
Well, it's specifically there to protect ISPs, but it just so happens to be amazing.
No, and it's fine to. It's not just to protect ISPs though. It actually is designed to protect pages like Kiwi Farms, because it was designed to protect companies like GeoCities and Angel Fire. Like that's who was around in '96. Who were at risk for people running child porn sites on GeoCities, and them getting sued for it when it wouldn't be their fault because there was no way they could manage all of these pages and monitor them. So it was created to produce or to protect services like Kiwi Farms. Bulletin board services existed back in 1996. They're not new in the way that massive social media platforms are. That's a whole different thing. And we have actually a pretty storied history in this country of when a private company takes the place of the public square. We used to protect the speech in the public square, not the private company. So that takes hold too. And but again, we're now letting, through Section 230, we're letting these large companies, borderline monopolies or oligopolies, dictate speech rather than protect speech. It's supposed to be the opposite. They're not doing the job that they're supposed to do. They've taken over.
I just feel that if you directed the government to say, okay, now YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, they can't make these content decisions. They're just going to move to Mexico. You know what I mean? Like, they have no reason to stick around if we're going to say you have to keep these things that you don't want on your site up on your site. YouTube is not profitable because they cling on to advertising and stuff. We could make replacements. We've had replacements happen with them, with MySpace, and it'll happen again. Google is falling apart at the seams. I don't know if you've noticed, but there are crazy people with blue hair and fuzzy legs walking around or wherever the fuck Google's hosted right now, protesting over some shit I don't even know, but they're falling apart. Google's gonna die.
Sexual harassment thing.
Oh yeah, well, you have an entire company of male feminists. What do you think's gonna happen? It's not gonna be good.
Well, they're probably gonna rape a bunch of women. Like if history shows true, all the women should run away as fast as possible.
By the way, I have to interject real quick because I'm going to have to sign off because LSU and Alabama is starting soon. And yes, I'm going to watch that game before we go live. On DLive.com/The Ralph Retort, we're going to do a program this evening. But thank you, Attorney Rekieta.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys. I'm gonna close this out, but I'm gonna read through. Like, you don't have to stay. I'm gonna read through the chats that came in through Streamlabs. If anyone wants to hang out for those, you're welcome to. You guys can hang out or leave. I really appreciate you coming on. I wish you the best over at DLive. I'll try and make a viewing tonight and check out the platform. And
thank you very much, man.
Yeah, and I'll of course tweet out the link and stuff. I'll include it in the description here.
You're awesome, dude.
And cool. And I'll keep preaching. I'll see if I can start maybe simulcasting to there as well. So
much appreciated, Nick.
Yeah.
Thank you, man.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, thank you for having us, buddy.
Thanks,
Appreciate
everybody.
it.
Thank you, man.
Y'all have a good one. All right. So for those of you still with me, I will be reading through a bunch of chats, and then we'll close the stream down, and then I'm going to go eat dinner. Okay. So we've got from Rick Nikeda, with the first link, the chain is forged, the speech censored, the first thought forbidden, the first freedom denied, chains us all irrevocably. Lucifer Love Monkey says, can we get a video showing us how to use our next donation system? I'm too old to figure this out by myself. Stay strong, Ralph. Maybe we could do something like that. Adabisi says create Rekieta Law 2 just in case. That's actually not a bad idea, as sad as that makes me. Dash says, I like how Kraut, Sharat, and Bronx Blogger went on stream to celebrate to less than 60 viewers. Oh, ouch. Heel Turn says, hey, feel free not to read this, but would love to have you on my show, Heel Turn, about the Ram guys getting arrested over Charlottesville. I won't read your email on air, but I will send you a message, buddy. Space Reptile, finally get to catch Rackets live. It's time to peacefully sunset corporatism. Yeah, I think I'm actually perfectly okay with corporations in general as a concept. I'm not even opposed to monopolies. I just think we need to not offer them certain protections. Do you think I'm not in favor of monopolies that are bolstered by government protection? How's that? I'm in favor of monopolies that get there because they provide the best service. But we always have to be on guard of what that means when they stop providing that service. Do you think YouTube/Google would try to use mafia tactics and government pressure to shut down any viable YouTube alternative that may present a credible threat? I mean, maybe, but I think YouTube and Google just try to outcompete them for a long time. As garbage as I think Google is on a lot of decisions, I think they have some core of wanting to just compete and make a better product. I do believe that there's a lot of old school capitalism left in the tech industry, at least at the high levels. But
at the low levels, where it's like really small and brawly, there's tons of competition. There's tons of competition between even like free open source projects where there's no money involved.
Well, no, what I'm saying when I mean high levels, I mean the high levels echelons of Google will have people who understand how businesses are built and how competition works. And then you get down to middle and lower management is where you see the really crazy stuff with the blue hairs running amok and such like that. That's what I'm talking about. But definitely, yeah, there's tons of competition on small scale tech, like GitHub and stuff. It's get your product out there and get your code out there, and make the best product. It's the true Wild West. I guess the true wild internet west.
No, that's fair because it's crazy. Like the speed at which things change at the lowest levels of tech is just insane because anybody can sit down at a computer and bash out code. Anybody listening to this right now, you can learn to code in like a year and you can play with the big boys and they will read your changes and integrate what you do to the projects, to their systems that maybe millions of people use.
All of my coding experience is limited to playing with mud code on Visual C+. So I don't have faith in my ability to learn to code anymore. Too old. Let's see. Next. Thanks. This is from Heather. Thanks for your show. There's so few channels left. Just speaking truth and no agenda. Keep up the great work. Thank you so much. Morzimbo says, glad to see I could give you money without giving it to Google. Me too. It's been too long. I should have had this set up a long time ago, but it was just too easy to use super chats. Clipperbit says, if journalist's job is news, lawyer's job is to make laws, and police job is to kill people. I don't know that that's untrue. Mithrin Emrys says, it's almost like we are living in an oligarchy with a permanent ruling class supported by a complicit media. The system of checks and balances has been broken, and those who dare to push back are unpersoned by the shrieking mob. Mithrin Emrys also says, just for having a picture of my favorite justice behind you, Antonin Scalia back there. While streaming, I love his writing style, and reading his dissents makes con law tolerable. Absolutely. Scalia is a gem, agree with him or not. His writing is fantastic. Sergeant Saunders says, money is money regardless of source. Nazi money still saves kids. Yeah, well, it did until St. Jude didn't let it, I guess. All right, and a couple more that came in on YouTube, and then we'll sunset this stream. Sketch Therapy says, I don't care if it's sad. I want to hear this guy more. I think he's referring to you there, Josh.
The Grim Reaper of Fun. I always feel like I'm a Grim Reaper of Fun on Dick's show, too, because they're always making jokes. It's kind of like a regular, like, FM radio channel where they're talking and having fun. And then I get on, I'm like, let me tell you about the dead trannies, Dick.
Right. Yeah, you're like the one guy at the party who's just kind of sitting on the recliner quietly, and someone's like, "Oh, hey, buddy, what are you thinking about?" And you're like, "Oh, all the dead babies."
You gotta stop Planned Parenthood.
Yeah.
Don't you know?
Yeah. Let me tell you how they do late-term abortions. I've got this video on my phone. You guys want to see it?
Oh, that's too dark.
Wait, you have a YouTube channel that if people want to see more of you, right? You were live streaming the other day.
If people want to see more of me.
Yeah. Like certain parts of you that are naughty.
It's just youtube.com/c/Kiwi Farms, I think is the URL. And every Wednesday I do a stream of one of my favorite crazy person.
Well, I'll put that link in the description as well, but definitely go follow Josh on Kiwi Farms. It's sad that you still work for Monday Matt, who owns Kiwi Farms, but you can't.
The rebellion is rising. We'll get rid of him one day.
Good. And Kiwi Farms is great, by the way. If you've never been there, go to Kiwi Farms and check it out.
Don't say that too loud.
Just go take a peek, find your favorite internet person, find them on there, and just check out what they're up to. Very interesting. No One Nowhere says, can we use accepted rhetoric like cyber warfare to extend the Second Amendment? I don't. Okay, so you're suggesting, I think, that if we start redefining what arms means to include various tools, maybe crypto or something that we could use under the idea of cyber warfare.
I think he's talking about 3D printing or something. Maybe I misread that, but the defense distributed and how technology integrates into firearms.
Maybe. I was just wondering if he was talking about using like specific technological tools that are, since it's, cyber warfare is considered an actual attack on a country. If we would declare some type of code could be classified as an arm that you have a right to keep and bear. Maybe I think what he's talking about is protecting Bitcoin. Like if cryptocurrency is a weapon in a cyber war, then do you have a right to keep and bear it that could be protected by the Second Amendment? I doubt it, as it stands. I think if you want to protect things like Bitcoin at a constitutional level, you should really start lobbying people for amendments to treat it as a viable currency and not as a commodity or something like that. That's what's going to need to happen. If you want that. I don't know if that'd be a good or bad thing, but I'm just saying if that's what you want to see, you need to lobby for a new amendment, not try and shoehorn it into an old one, because that you're trying to convince a judge what Bitcoin is. Yeah. These guys grew up without TVs. That's how old most judges are in the federal court system. Sketch Therapy says, good conversation. Again, a better view from your two perspectives. Or I gain a better view from your two perspectives. Thanks, buddy. Opus Day says, Nick, can we form our own 230 corporation? I think I said in the chat in response to this, but you just have to qualify as a service provider under Section 230. There's nothing you have to do. There's no IRS form to fill out. If you're providing a platform for other people to post content online, you technically are a 230 corporation. Like Kiwi Farms is a website that exists online. They're not like a host. They're not an internet service provider. They're not even like a major social media
platform.
Well,
we are now.
Well, yeah. but you don't have to be in concept, right? Before that,
no. Any website is 230.
Right. Anyone where anybody can post anything is 230. A Foursquare recommendation is protected under 230 as well. Or, well, Foursquare is protected to remove bad reviews under 230, technically. Sketch Therapy says, learning from both perspectives. Love this conversation. And finally, Facebook and Twitter should rip like MySpace and Vine. I loved Vine, though. Vine was hilarious. To me. I don't know. I don't know if you guys agree or disagree.
It was just unprofitable.
Yeah. That's the downside. But it was so funny. Like, condensing comedy into 6 seconds was a brilliant plan. All right, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for checking out my show. If you're new here, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. But I talk about all sorts of legal issues and all sorts of people involved in them. And I am and will always be a friend of the Killstream. May it rest in peace and move on to the afterlife. That is DLive. Definitely go check it out there, and make sure you talk to the people who you think would be very interested in the Killstream, because the reality is that YouTube provides an easy platform to grow. When you're off of YouTube, like Josh said, about making these small internets, these little microcosms of communities, it's really hard to get people from outside of those outside of those specific closed off spaces into them. It's hard in concept now. Eventually it'll be hard technologically, because they'll just start walling them off. But for now, it's our job. It's our job to make sites like DLive into competitors for YouTube, for shows that you want to see. So go check it out. Thanks all for watching. Josh, do you have any closing thoughts before I shut this thing down?
Bitcoin. Get into it. It's our only hope for a future.
Okay, I'm going to lock you into this. I want to get you and an economist that I know on to talk about Bitcoin.
Okay.
And just like,
is he against it?
No, not. I don't think he's against it in principle. Like he sold out a long time ago, and hasn't gotten back into it. But he doesn't speak. He's rather neutral on it from what I've seen. But yeah, he's an economist, and on my Twitter he says he's an economist. I guess I don't technically know, but no, I just want to. Because I'm 150 years old and I barely understand it. I want to know more. I think there are a lot of people out there who would really appreciate like a real breakdown of what Bitcoin is, how it works, what it affords us. Because we need to start talking about alternative methods for speech, alternative methods for payment, because we can't stick in these old paradigms. I think you and I can definitely agree that the old paradigms will not service us indefinitely. We have to find new ways to do business.
Yeah, because the conditioning is right now, as I mentioned in China, they know they can't censor something. Once you censor something, it becomes a martyr. Ethan Ralph is more popular than he's ever been right now because they censored him. The same with Alex Jones. He's doing fine on his own website because they censored him. It's always, it blows up in their face every time. So what are they doing? They're making this kind of stuff unsustainable financially. And that's their sanctioning. That's their quarantining. Is just you take this thing you don't like and you make sure that nobody can throw nickel at it, and it will die on its own.
Yep.
It's like taking a plant and putting it in shade. It'll do its. You don't have to uproot it. You can just let it die.
And I know half of you in the chat probably hate the Broadway production. Are you alive?
Yeah, sorry, I just knocked a water bottle off my table.
I know half of you in the chat probably hate the Broadway production of Hamilton, but there's a line in there that is so relevant and important to today. Hamilton goes in with Jefferson and Madison, and they, he's trying to get his budget plan passed through Congress, or his banking plan passed through Congress. He doesn't have the votes. The South's against it. So they go into a closed room, just the three of them, and they come out with a compromise. And the compromise was that the capital of the United States would move from New York to Virginia, and that Hamilton would get his banking system. And in the show, who knows how this played out in real life, but in the show, when he comes out, he's talking to Aaron Burr about it, and he's like, you let them move the capital to Virginia. You let them move the capital of the country to the South. And he says, yeah, but we have the banks. It doesn't matter where the capital is. We have the banks. And think about how, like, New York versus DC. DC wields a lot of power. New York wields all of the economic power, all of it. And you want to really test the limits of things. Wait till Stripe and MasterCard and Visa defund Congress, because they process those payments too. And if you don't think that a congressman who wants to, use his Visa to go down to Colombia and buy an underage hooker will be ticked off when Visa decides to selectively refuse that transaction, what are they going to do about it? They have the banks. So we have to find ways to have our own banks. But anyways, thanks for the stream, guys. Thanks for joining me, Josh, and we'll get you on a show about Bitcoin or anything else. If you ever want to do a Greer reading with me, let me know.
Reading. He threatened to sue me, and he never did it. No, I'll just get this out there as a spoiler. If you follow Greer, do you know the lawyer that he screwed with? I think it was the one for Ariana Grande. Yeah, was it Scordis? He went after his daughter, basically.
Yeah, it was Scordis.
I contacted him and said, "This guy is threatening to sue me. Would you be willing to represent me pro bono? I have no money." And he said, "It would be my pleasure." And he never did. He never sued me. And I was like,
I've also been in contact with Scordis because I want him badly to do an interview on my show, and he said that he's interested in it. He's a little hesitant just because of how much of how dangerous of a person he believes Greer could be. So we'll have to see. I'm working on him. I think that would be a fantastic interview. Plus, he's a pretty well accomplished attorney in general. I think he's probably just an interesting guy, and I'd love to talk to him because I just like talking to lawyers that I don't hate. So, but anyways,
in my head, I just had it where he filed the lawsuit in the same day Scordis says, like, I'm representing this client for the remainder of this case. Because I knew the social media reaction from Greer would be positively hysterical, but unfortunately that's only fantasy.
Yeah. You know that Greer offered to drop his Taylor Swift lawsuit for a date with her?
Yes, I do.
For a dinner date. But it's not about a date, though. It never was. Never was. All right. Anyway, we're dragging this on. I don't even know where my family is. I think they went somewhere, so I probably should go figure that out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
Get on.
That's fine. Anyways, see you guys later. Thanks for joining me. I'll be resuming streaming on either Monday or Tuesday. Follow me on Twitter for updates there. And you all have a good night. And don't let the machine get you down. And don't let Josh depress you too much. Peace, guys.
Take it easy.